Jerusalem. It's my second visit here, but I was impressed by how the city has developed. And I'm always impressed by the complicated history of Israel. I want to show you this beautiful bird. It's a bird, Australian bird. You can see that. I want to give you a bird's eye view on aerosol therapy. And since it's going to be translated, I probably will shorten the presentation. And it's your evening. When you have questions, raise your hands. When you don't understand, raise your hands. Interrupt me. Feel free. I want to introduce myself a little bit, that you know who's standing in front of you. My wife was going to be here, but she was, after the extensive tour today, was very tired. So she said hello. I have 3 daughters. This is my grandchild, Viola. I cycle to work. I never take a car, always by bicycle.
It's not a big deal in Holland.
Same thing.
Actually, I cycle here. It's always raining and very windy. I play bass guitar. I live 7 meters below sea level, but I was much more impressed by the Dead Sea, which is even much lower. I'm a sailor. Work in Sophia Children's Hospital. I was the last point I did this year 200 kilometers of ice skating. Many of you don't maybe know even what it is, because there's no ice here. To raise money for the care of young children with cystic fibrosis. So, as an introduction. What I will try to present to you tonight is the role of the small airways, the importance in the treatment of cystic fibrosis. And why, I want to explain you why it's important to think in cystic fibrosis about the small airways. And if you want to treat them, it's not so easy. So I want to give you some take-home messages to think about it when using aerosol therapy. And I want to explain to you that if you think about whether the treatment works, it's not only if you use it, but also how you use it. And I call that the competence. And I will if we have the time, but Ethan is going to say that's enough. At some point, maybe I'm going to show you a study.
You still have some time.
I still have some time. Okay, good. Okay, let's first explain something about the lungs. I don't know your level, so I want to start very basic. It's like a tree, and this is your trachea over here. You can feel it, and it branches like a tree. And then at the end you have the place, the alveoli, where oxygen is being absorbed, the CO2 leaves the body. For this presentation, what's important to realize, if you look at the total cross-sectional area, this is actually very narrow. And if you now add up the diameters of all the small airways, it's actually very big. So air goes very quickly here, and very slow here. Oh yeah, take it away. So, if we talk about treatment, I see children here, I see adults here who are treated, and of course that makes a big difference in treatment. Little people and big people. And that's important because if you now look at the surface area, this may be already difficult, is the, if you look at the surface area that you want to treat of an adult, there will be this space. like that big.
במבוגר זה השטח שאנחנו רוצים לטפל.
So with your little puff,
עם
you
השטח
try
קטן,
to treat.
תנסו לפזר
area
את
that big.
האירוסול בשטח כזה גדול.
For child,
לילד
that's less.
הרבה פחות.
It's like 2 square meters.
סביבות 2 מטר מרובע.
This big pipe, trachea, has a very small surface area.
לקנה יש שטח קטן,
But most of the area is in the small airways.
שרוב השטח הוא בדרכי האוויר הקטנים.
Is this questions? So if you talk about treatment, where do you want to have the medication that you inhale?
לאן אנחנו רוצים שהתרופה תגיע?
So who is inhaling a medicine here? Who's the...
מי לוקח אינהלציה כאן?
Okay.
כולם.
So what you try to treat is not only here,
מה שרוצים לטפל, לא רק
but
בקנה,
also the small airways.
גם דרכי האוויר הקטנים.
And if you look at cystic fibrosis, the most abnormalities are in the small airways.
וב-CF רוב הבעיה היא בדרכי האוויר הקטנים.
There we want to have most of the medication
שם אנחנו רוצים שרוב התרופה תגיע.
to cover, again, this very big surface area.
לעשות את השטח הזה.
So, what is wrong with those small airways?
מה לא בסדר בדרכי
I'm
האוויר?
not going to discuss this with you. I'm going to just to focus on one,
אני רוצה להתמקד רק
that
בדבר
is
אחד.
what they call the DNA. Who's nebulizing
DNA.
pulmozyme? DNAs?
פולמוזיים, שזה מפרק DNA.
DNAs, yeah. So, pulmozyme takes care of it makes the sputum is extra sticky because of cells that disrupt. Maybe it's difficult. Sorry, DNA, free DNA.
הפולמוזיים מפרק את ה-DNA שעושה את הליכה פחות ספיקה.
So when you inhale, these are my lungs.
זה הרעיון שלו.
Can you recognize them? And what I was in an MRI, magnetic
זה
resonance
ב-MRI,
imaging.
בתמונה ב-MRI.
What I didn't realize until I was in the MRI,
מה שלא הבנתי, עד
the
שהייתי
difference between exhaling and inhaling.
יש הבדל בגודל של הריאות כשמוציאים אוויר וכשמכניסים אוויר.
This is when I
כאן כשמוציאים אוויר,
all air out. You see my
מוציאים את
heart,
כל האוויר, רואים את הלב,
and you see my chest like this.
וחזה קטן יחסית.
This is when I inhale.
כאן שלוקח
See?
האוויר כמה שיכול פנימה.
And the heart, the lungs come in front of the heart. But this is not what you do when you inhale. It's
אבל זה
A
לא
lot
קורה
changes.
כשאנחנו לוקחים אינהלציה.
when you inhale, you do like quiet breathing.
כשאנחנו עושים,
There's not much
אנחנו
difference
עושים נשימות
between
רגילות,
exhalation.
לא לוקחים נשימות עמוקות.
So why is this important?
למה זה חשוב?
This is the CT scan of
The
a
CT.
patient of 2.5 years old.
זה יהיה
girl.
בין 2.5.
This is deep
בזמן
inhalation,
שהוא לוקח
and
אוויר
this
פנימה,
is,
בזמן
exhalation.
שהוא מוציא אוויר החוצה.
and you see here the black areas,
באזורים השחורים כאן שרואים,
and that is where air does not go out very well.
מקום שהאוויר נכנע ולא יוצא.
And that represents diseased small airways.
זה מייצג.
So that's
מחלה
already
של
in
דרכי
young
אוויר
children,
קטנים.
the small airways are already not good.
וכבר
In
בילדים
some children,
קטנים
not all
אפשר
children.
לראות שדרכי אוויר קטנים נחסמים.
This is a girl of 16-year-old.
זאת ילדה בת 16,
Inspiration.
זה בזמן שמכניסים אוויר.
You see here, this is this pipe again, at the lower level, nice round. And now, all the way,
זה
out.
כשמוציאים אוויר.
You see here, this pipe is now look like this.
הרבה יותר צר.
And here the lungs look okay, but on exhalation, you see again all the black
אפשר שוב לראות
areas,
הבדלים בצבעים
representing small airway disease.
שמייצגים חסימה של דרכי אוויר
And
קטנים.
this is a girl with quite normal spirometry. I don't know how you call it
זאת ילדה עם
spirometry.
תפקודי ריאה תקינים.
So how you recognize that small airways are involved. So you know what spirometry is? Okay. So this is again of a girl the volume that you exhale, and this is every time it visits. So here the patient was sick in the hospital, and here it goes down. This is the FEV1. That is what we use often to see how it goes. This one is a measurement. I don't know if you use it.
We measure it, but we don't use it very often.
So I'm already explained that everything that I explained that we use that is different. Then you could say whether it's useful, yes or no. But this also from the same spirometry, you can get an idea how it goes with the small airways. That if you exhale your air, you breathe out, you get a signal from the small airways. So this is the normal line, 100% normal. So patient is not optimal. FEV1 is a lower level, but you see this one is 80% below. So this tells you from lung function, from spirometry, already that the small airways play a role with this girl. And again, this CT scan of this patient, you see a lot of black. That's air that does not go out very well. And this is in green, the only parts of the lung which are normal. So this actually represents small airway disease. And what we learned is if we now have patients with very advanced disease, a lot of abnormalities in the lungs, that there are patients, that what we had in mind as clinician is that all patients have a lot of sputum when the lung function is down. And that's actually not true. So this was patient, this is a patient who was on the transplant list. And there's a lot of white, and that is sputum. So for this patient, you would think, well, you know, it's important to do a lot of exercise to get out the sputum. For this patient with the same lung function, way down, also on the transplant list, you see it's very black, representing again small airway disease. So what is important is what I would call personalized medicine. That the treatment of this patient will have to be different from the treatment of this patient.
שלושתם סיסטיק פיברוזיס. ושלושתם עם תפקודי ריאה מאוד מאוד נמוכים.
רגע, והראשון, מה עם הדרכי נשימה? כאן דרכי
שם בסבליה ב-A אנחנו רואים בחלש דרכי אוויר גדולים עם הרבה ליחה, וב-C אנחנו רואים מעט מאוד מחלה של דרכי אוויר גדולים, אבל רואים שזה הריאות מאוד שחורות, מה שמעיד שהאוויר כלוא בפנים, מה שמעיד שיש בעיקר מחלה של דרכי אוויר קטנים.
So these are all three patients who have very bad lungs, who have lost a lot of lung function. And the lung function is the same. But if you look inside, the lungs look very, very different. And this difference you can already see very early in life. So not all patients are the same. So now I want to change to the treatment. How do we treat the small airways? Do some of you use puffers as well? Yeah? Okay. So if you inhale a puffer or nebulizer, you have aerosol particles. And there are big particles and small particles. And the big particles have a high chance of staying here in the large airways. And only the small particles have a chance of going all the way to the small airways.
רק הקטנים יגיעו לדרכי האוויר הקטנים.
And for children, these aerosol particles travel faster than in an adult.
בילדים, החלקיקים האלה עפים מהר יותר.
I always make the comparison driving with a big car on the small road.
גם
The chance that you bang against the wall or a truck is quite big. If you have sick airways, it's even more narrow. So you need in sick children, you need actually small particles.
אצלהם צריך הכוונה דווקא חלקיקים מאוד מאוד קטנים.
So I show you the route that an aerosol particle has to follow in the lungs. So this is the big pipe, right lung, left lung.
אנחנו רואים שאתה צינורות.
Here you look in the lung.
כשאנחנו מסתכלים בתוך הצינור, בתוך הקנה, בתוך הסימפון.
Right, left.
אנחנו בקנה, צד ימין, צד שמאל.
And here the aerosol particle has to go or take the
והחלקיקים הולכים ימינה או שמאלה. של החומר של האינהלציה.
You go deeper,
מדבר על זה.
and deeper, and deeper.
הולכים לעומק, לעומק, לעומק. ככה רואים את זה בבוכוסקופיה.
So this is a patient who inhales big particles, big aerosol particles,
אנשים חלקיקים גדולים.
and most of the drug
ורוב החומר נשאר
this
למעלה.
is with a radio label with radioactivity. Most of
זה
it is
צבוע בחומר אקטיבי, אפשר לראות האדום נשאר למעלה.
and very little in the lungs.
עכשיו נדבר בכלל באופן כללי. נראה איך חלקיקים הולכים.
This patient inhales small particles
והחולה מצד שמאל
and
נושב חלקיקים.
very little here and most
והרוב
drugs in the lungs.
נכנס לרב.
The red is the concentration.
Yeah. The red color means a lot of drug.
האדום מעיד על כמות גדולה של חומר.
So the problem with if you inhale medicine is not only the particle size, but also where does the medicine go?
כך שזה לא רק גודל החלקיקית, אבל לאן היא הולכת.
If you inhale air
ימינה או שמאלה.
in healthy lungs, it goes everywhere.
ריאות בריאות, זה הולך לכל מקום.
But if you have a sick
אבל אם
airway,
יש דרכי אוויר שהם חולים, לא ייכנס
this
לשם.
is obstructed. You can't go there,
כי הם
and it
חסומים.
goes more into the healthy parts.
דרכי האוויר הבריאים שהם פתוחים.
And of course you want to have the medicine here.
אבל אנחנו רוצים דווקא לתרופה למקום החולה יותר.
You need less drug here. So I show you pictures of healthy lung.
אלה ריאות בריאות.
The patient inhales a gas, and you see nicely the whole lungs, right lung, left lung.
רואים את הריאות, יפה. השחור זה הלב.
This is of a smoker,
זה אדם מעשן.
a lot of black areas
רואים הרבה אזורים שחורים,
where no air is going.
כשהאוויר לא נכנס.
Smoker with severe disease,
זה אדם שעישן הרבה שנים, מבוגר, ב-COPD.
so I think nobody smokes here,
אני מניח שאף אחד כאן לא מעשן.
or at least not at home. For cystic fibrosis,
וזה שם סיסטיק.
the same thing.
אותו דבר.
Sorry that you see there. Here, a lot of what you inhale goes here, and here, very little air goes. So this is, again, a patient that inhales with asthma, that inhales the drug
רואים אסתמה, שתרופה נכנסת
And
יותר
goes-
לצד אחד,
to the tops of the lungs.
והרוב נכנס לצד
Now the
העליון
patient takes a buffer
של הרוב. עכשיו הוא לוקח משאף,
that opens the airways,
שפותח את דרכי האוויר,
and then you get the next one,
ואנחנו רואים שהרבה יותר נכנס.
and you see,
הוונטולין
then
שמחליט.
it goes to all the airways. But this is asthma, this is not CF, but just to
באסתמה,
show
כי
you,
באסתמה הוונטולין מרחיב את הסימפונות מהר מאוד.
to illustrate that the medicine goes to where there is ventilation. So
שזה מראה שהתרופה נכנסת למקום שאליו היא יכולה להיכנס.
let's go to CF.
עכשיו בואו נראה ב-CF.
Summarize what I showed you. We can say, well, this is mucus.
לא כמו ונטולין אחר.
So this is mucus or bacteria.
האדום זה ליחה והירוק זה חיידקים.
And it is all over the lungs, small airways, large airways. And now we inhale the medicine.
חיסונים ועכשיו עושים אינהלציה.
Most of the medicine
רוב התרופה תישאר למעלה.
will be here, in the central airways. Very little
מעט
goes
מאוד
into the small airways.
מגיע לדרכי האוויר יותר.
That is how we do it now.
וככה אנחנו מטפלים
And
עכשיו.
that's why it's interesting, because I think we can do it better.
ואני חושב שאפשר לשפר את זה.
Here, the CF patient,
לחולה CF,
and
הוא נושם,
breathing. The whole lung is doing like this. So the medicine will go everywhere.
והריאה ייכנס לכל מקום.
This is a patient with very severe disease.
לחולה עם מחלה קשה. באמצע אפשר לראות את הלב.
You see, the lung cannot move very
לב
well
פועל
anymore.
באמצע.
And of course,
רואים שהריאות לא
treatment
מתנפחות
of the previous patient and this patient, we have to think about it, how we can treat this patient also in a good way.
השאלה איך אפשר לטפל בחולה הזה בצורה יותר טובה.
So now I will explain you a little bit of what we know about inhalation technique.
נדבר עכשיו על טכניקה של אינהלציה.
I don't know what apparatuses you're using here.
Using the PARI,
Okay.
most of the patients have the E-Flow Rapid
Okay.
or the PARI Boy or Turbo with the LC plus nebulizer.
Well, we know that very little drug of what you nebulize with those nebulizer can be between 6% and 15 to 20%.
רק מעט ממה שלוקחים באינהלציה מגיע לריאות, בין 5 ל-20%.
But what's more important is the technique. So what is wrong with this girl? What is she doing wrong?
מה היא לא עושה טובה? העמדה הזאת? מי שואל, מה היא לא
she's
עושה
doing
טוב?
like this. What else?
היא מתכופפת קדימה, זה לא טוב.
Yeah, maybe not sealed very well.
האף שלה לא חסום, כך שהיא נושמת גם דרך האף.
And she holds it like this because she wants to read.
היא מחזיקה את זה בזווית, כי היא רוצה לקרוא כדי שזה לא יפריע לה. אז לא הכל נכנס לפה, חלק יוצא החוצה.
And this young baby,
והתינוק הזה,
well, it's more aerosol going into the ear
רוב החומר הולך לאוזניים
than into
שלו.
the lungs. So a good seal
ואם אוטמים טוב את המסכה, זה יכול לשפר את העניין.
Yeah, I'm going to very quickly do this. So this is. Oh,
That's why.
so why is this not running? Oh, I see. Okay. That's really a pity. Oh, okay. Here it goes. No. We're going to try one other trick.
I think it doesn't support this.
Maybe something in no. That's a pity. It doesn't want to run my movie. That is really a pity. Because what I want to show with what you don't see is if you look what your children are doing, they will talk while they
ילדים
nebulize.
יכולים לדבר תוך כדי שזה שעושים אינהלציה.
She will drink something, hold it,
שתה משהו בזמן שעושים
and all
אינהלציה.
the is going out.
Everyone says yes, yes,
Yes, yes, yes, yes. But we understand, because it's very difficult to do, it's boring, to do this correctly for 10-15 minutes. Really pity that I can't show that. So I'm going to. So how important is this? And this is maybe. I'm going to show you the results of a study, and I'm going to try to keep it simple. We wanted to see whether it made a difference, whether a patient inhaled technically correct, and whether a patient was inhaling in the best way to get as much drug to the small airways. So maybe I should. So this was the study.
עשינו מחקר,
3 centers.
3 מרכזים,
Patients who were good, stable.
חולים שהיו יציבים,
They already had pulmozyme,
שהיו בטיפול בפולמוזיים,
and they all had small airway disease,
לכולם הייתה מחלת דרכי אוויר קטנים,
as showed by spirometry, lung function.
כפי שרואים בתפקוד הריאה.
Patients received treatment with pulmozyme.
חולים קיבלו טיפול בפולמוזיים,
That was, we imitated the way it is landing with a normal nebulizer in your lungs.
שבו צחקים איך שהם נכנסים באופן תקין רגיל לריאות.
And in the other patients, so the patients were going or to this group, or they were going to this group, and there we did everything to optimize treatment of the small airways.
בקבוצה שנייה עשינו מאמץ שיגיעו, הפולמוזיים יגיע לדרכי האוויר הקטנים.
So this is the machine.
זה מכשיר אינהלציה. לא משנה.
And this nebulizer, I don't think it might not be available in Israel, and it's very expensive, but it was to investigate whether it made a difference. And this nebulizer only nebulizes when you inhale. And it nebulizes all medication, no loss.
וכל התרופה נכנסת לריאות.
So we get 5 times as much pulmozyme in the lungs as normal.
קיבלנו פי 5 יותר פולמוזיים
So
בריאות
it's very efficient.
מאשר במצב הזה.
So the patients who had
בשימוש
for
במכשיר
the large airways, bigger particles, normal
המכשיר הזה
breathing,
מייצר חלקיקים קטנים יותר.
and only nebulization in the middle of an inspiration, of an inhalation. And the other group, small particles, and a very slow and deep inhalation.
במכשיר השני, הקבוצה השנייה, החלקיקים היו קטנים יותר וגם הנשימות היו עמוקות יותר ואיטיות יותר.
And only drug in the beginning of your inhalation. So
והתרופה נכנסה רק בהתחלה. המכשיר שחרר תרופה רק בהתחלת האינהלציה.
So this one, we expected a lot of medication going to this very big area, all those square meters of small airways.
אנחנו צפינו שכאן ייכנס יותר לדרכי האוויר הקטנים.
This card, also you could set the machine to the lung volume of the patient.
אפשר גם לכוון את המכשיר לפי נפח הריאות של מי שלוקח, משתמש.
So patient with small lungs, they had to take a deep breath, but not as many liters as a big patient.